On this episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
What most people don't realize is over 60% of a first impression is based on just color alone. So people determine if you are competent, trustworthy, knowledgeable, approachable, based on the color you're wearing before you even open your mouth. Do these colors actually go together? Am I honoring myself? Is the color wearing me? That's the biggest thing I think we see is people wearing colors that we see the color before the person. And what we never want you to be is we don't want you to be the person at the event that somebody walks up to and says, I love that dress. And that's it. We want them to say, you look amazing in that dress.
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addix, the original sorority rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Today, I am honored to have Sarah Kraus on Mad Rush. Sarah is an expertly trained stylist and color analyst. And welcome, Sarah. And thank you for spending time with me today. I'm really excited about this.
I am so excited to be here. I am thrilled to get to know you a little bit more and talk about color.
Yeah, so it's very ironic, and we'll get into what she does, but I have a color expert on Mad Rush today, and I'm wearing all black. So clearly I am in need of some help. So the crucial part of my sorority rush consulting business is helping our clients present themselves in the best way for rush. And a big part of this is helping them find things that fit. I have also done speaking engagements about starting to create a personal brand, which is why I really wanted to have you on here, because I want to learn about color analysis and how it can help with this. So tell us everything.
Absolutely. So what most people don't realize is over 60% of a first impression is based on just color alone.
Oh, wow.
So people determine if you are competent, trustworthy, knowledgeable, approachable, based on the color you're wearing before you even open your mouth. So it's very much tied into your personal brand. And colors hold a lot of emotional feelings behind them that we don't even realize we hold within ourselves. Like we judge certain people based on the colors they're wearing ourselves. And we have to know that other people are also judging us. And judging is just a part of human nature. Like, of course, we don't want to be judgmental people, but we do in a certain way judge a book by its cover. And our whole goal here at House of Colour is to make sure the outside matches the inside. So you can present your most authentic self and also come across the way you want to be perceived out in the world. So color analysis is really like the keys to the kingdom, the first step in developing that personal brand and image story.
So yeah, I discovered House of Colour and Sarah, and she'll tell you a little bit more about her company, but I was on the interwebs looking through and I saw this before and after of someone and I was blown away. And like I said, I know a lot about like fashion and what's appropriate. Well, I because of other people, what's appropriate for rush and how, some ways to create your personal brand. But I had never even, I remember back in like the 80s, the color wheel thing. And I was actually asking a friend of mine today, I was like, wait, do you know about this color stuff? And she was like, no. So talk to me about House of Colour, like what the company is and what you do. And like, I think you have more than one franchise of this or what, I don't know. Anyway, explain what it is and then we can get into the meat of it.
Yes. So House of Colour has actually been around for about 40 years in the UK. So
Oh yeah,
about
that's why it's spelled Colour, by the way. Okay.
yes, it's the U, Colour,
Clear.
if you will. So it's been around over in the UK for quite a while. In the States, there was kind of a Tupperware party style color analysis
Ah, that's
vibe.
what I'm remembering. Yes. I mean, I didn't ever
Yes,
do
in
it,
the
but that's what
80s
I'm
and
remembering.
90s.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was kind of very, let's say, generic, very quick, done in fluorescent lights in your friend's kitchen. You could have a full face of makeup on. House of Colour is a much more science based process. So we started to open franchises here in the States, across the pond, if you will, about 15 years ago. And we have franchises located all throughout the United States. I own 5 franchises here in the metro Atlanta area. So I have 9 other stylists who work with me here in the Atlanta area. And we provide a very in depth process because it honestly, the important part is not about finding out what your season is. It's really about seeing yourself in these colors and learning the tools to put the package all together.
I could have said that exact sentence without, that's just such an important part of it,
Yes.
all of it, and so it's all part of the package. So that's super cool. So how long have you been doing this?
So I opened my first franchise about 2.5 years ago here in Canton, Georgia, and then I've seen about 2,000 color clients myself.
Oh, wow.
And I have been in the fashion and beauty industry, I say, for as long as I can remember, for a long time, without fully giving away my age.
Well, if you guys can see her, and if we ever do get this, well, we have it, but once we publish all these videos, you're going to be like, what is she even talking about?
I like that. Thank you. Thank you. It's my colors.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so you've been doing this with House of Colour for about 2.5 years. And so tell me, like, talk to me about what that looks like how long the process is and what you do and what you would do with a typical client.
Yeah. So a client comes in, and I would say most of my clients come in groups of 2 to 3. That's the most standard. Like today, I had a junior in high school and her precious mom who just left the studio. So, and we see a lot of mother daughter combos. I think that is a great experience to do together. The typical analysis per person lasts about 90 minutes to 2 hours.
And it's a one-time thing?
It's a one-time thing. Once
Gotcha.
you know,
Okay.
you know. So, and there's no looking back. So it lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We do this in natural light. So all these lights you see behind me, they're actually all turned off. And we have a barber chair set up in front of a mirror. And we actually, if you have any color in your hair, we cover up the color. You come in makeup free, no tinted moisturizer, no self tanner, no mascara. So we really bring you back to basics. We want to see your skin tone and your natural features. And we use a series of drapes in a very specific order. It's a narrowing down process. So it's essentially a science experiment. We have 4 seasons in the color wheel, and the color wheel is based off of the research done at the Bauhaus in the 1920s and 30s by an artist named Johannes Itten. He found that each human actually falls innately, harmoniously within a quarter of the color wheel. So our goal is to find that quarter of the color wheel that you fall into, that you look most harmonious surrounded by. So we start by figuring out if you are a warm season or a cool season. So summer and winter are cool seasons. Autumn and spring are warm seasons. So we go between warm and cool drapes to figure out basically what hemisphere of the color wheel you fall into. Once we figure that out, then we've narrowed down the options and we figure
So
out
you've
whether
narrowed it down to cool or warm at that point.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So like,
But we
say,
still don't know. We still don't know the season, or do we?
correct.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. So then we figure out your season. Once we figure out if you're cool or warm, and cool or warm actually tells us a lot already, because that tells us, should you be highlighting your hair with warm tones or ashy tones? Should you be wearing gold or silver jewelry? What color blushes should you be wearing? What color eyeshadows make sense for you? So all of those things come into play, whether you're cool or warm. And then we
So this
figure out
goes into makeup and clothes and hair
makeup,
color.
hair, leather goods, jewelry,
Wow.
like what you should wear to your first interview, what you should wear on your wedding day, what should your
Wow.
bridesmaids wear surrounding you in your pictures, what color flowers do you want to be holding up right next to your face. All of those things, if harmonious, can make you look and feel better.
Wow. Okay. So I interrupted you. I was just a
No,
little
you're fine.
fascinated by the whole makeup.
Yeah. No,
accessory
absolutely.
stuff.
That's most people don't realize that. Most people think, I mean, it totally, your question totally makes sense, because most people think, especially in today with AI and apps and everything, like, I'm just going to go on TikTok and let them tell me what season I am. And that part of it, finding out your season, number one, AI is not super accurate when it comes to saying
No,
your
it's
season.
not.
But number two, it's missing a big piece of the puzzle, because finding out your season is just a part of it. It's the tools that come along with your season that is the impactful part. So
Cool.
once we figure out warm versus cool, then we have to figure out whether you do better in more blended, soft, muted colors, or you need more bright, clear colors.
Can you give me an example of a blended
Absolutely.
example of what you just said?
Like a Monet painting.
Mm-hmm.
Most Monet paintings would fall within what we call the summer palette. So they're very cool toned, very blended, kind of hazy, like you're looking through a little bit of haze. Okay.
Right.
So that is what we would consider blended tones, if it looks almost a little hazy. A clear or bright tone is going to be really crisp and sharp. So like the winter palette, I'm a winter, is very crisp and sharp. I say it's just like the OG Crayola box. Like, I don't think kids these days know about the OG Crayola box, but I'm talking like way back. The old Crayola box.
Rotary phones and
Yes.
crayons.
And crayons, exactly. So just like those really crisp, clear colors that aren't muted at all. So autumn and summer are our blended seasons. They're very like tonal, and the colors kind of meld into one another, where spring and winter are our bright seasons, just really clear, sharp tones, not heathered or soft in any way.
Gotcha.
And some people some people need that softness, and it gives them like a beautiful airbrushing to their skin. But if you put a soft color on me, for instance, I may or may not look like a corpse.
Well, there you go. We don't want to look like that.
Best, right? Exactly.
Right.
And yeah. So you live and you learn.
Right. That's super cool. So they sit down and you start draping them. And then what happens once you figure out what you are? Well, first up, I have a question. When you look at someone, can you like guess or tell?
Occasionally.
Like if someone, they walk in neutral, never mind. I was saying if someone walked in, like I can tell with our clients, I can pretty much size them up pretty quickly and know what we're going to need to work on. And it's not really about appearances. It's just talking to them for a few minutes. Like I can kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, size them up.
Yeah.
But I guess it doesn't really matter because you have the tools to do it and you don't need to do that. But
well, so I use everything as a data point. As a stylist, we use everything as a data point. So when someone comes in, we're looking at the color of their hair. Like, I mean, this might be newsflash, but most people have hair color in their hair. So I'm
not in my world. It's not a newsflash at all.
So we're looking at the hair color. Does it make sense with their skin tone now that, because they're coming in makeup free? So that really lets us be able to see, because most of the time when somebody is getting their hair colored, they're going into the salon with a full face of makeup. You're not seeing the natural skin tone. So we're seeing the hair color with the skin tone. Does this make sense? If they have on a necklace, is it silver or gold? Does that look right with their skin? The color that they're wearing on their body, like lots of people come in wearing black, like you have on today. Like, is the black wearing them, or are they wearing the black? Do I see them, or do I see the color first? So I take all of that as a data point, but it doesn't necessarily determine the season, but it helps me figure out what might not be right. So sometimes it helps with that narrowing down process. So I know where to start the experiment and where to go next, and figuring out what's going to work best for this person as a whole. So
that's cool.
And you were asking about like what happens next. So once we figure out their season, actually,
I'm glad you're keeping me on track. P.S. You're like, and we'll go back to your question.
No. Listen, I will never get to live the sorority life because I live in a frat house with all boys. So my life is just keeping people on track.
There you go. So I could benefit from this.
So after the actual color analysis, we figure out your season. That's when the good part actually happens in the appointment. That's when the magic happens. We put on makeup in your palette. So House of Colour actually has a makeup line that was designed.
I was literally about to ask that question. Gotcha.
It was designed as an easy button. So can you go out to Sephora with your palette that you get when you get a color analysis and go look at all the makeup and pick it out? Absolutely. Do most people want to? No. Most people want the easy button. So
right.
House of Colour developed a makeup line that is sorted by the season. So you can choose any lipstick in, like say you're in autumn, any lipstick in the autumn palette will work for you. So we put on makeup in your palette, get you into complete harmony, and then we actually go through every single color in your palette and look at it on you and rate them for impact. So we can find your personalized power colors, because two people could be in autumn and have very different power colors. And your power colors are, or we call them your wow colors, are going to tell you like, what should you wear to your interview? Like if you're rushing is like, and you're just picking out a dress to wear on your first day, like what colors should you lean into that are going to make you stand out from the crowd? So those are like your standout high impact colors. And that is really where people find it very eye-opening, because you get a quarter of the colors in the universe. And that's a lot of colors. And most of us are kind of stuck in one lane and wearing the same thing over and over
That's
and over.
That's what's going through my head right now. I'm like, I'm in a lane.
I'm in a lane. I mean, that's what most people do. And what this process allows you to do is open up your eyes to colors you would not have imagined wearing before. I hear it all the time, like every single day. I should start collecting dollars for every time it's said, I had no idea I could wear that color. I thought that color was going to wash me out. My mom always said I would look bad in that color. But in reality, it's not based on anything but human experience. And once we actually put the color on you, it opens your eyes to a whole world of possibilities.
So I have a question. What about, so like I get compliments when I wear navy all the time, like, and so I gravitate towards navy.
Yeah.
But does that mean that it's in my color palette, or it's just, I don't know. Is there something about getting like I'm not saying I get complimented all the time, Lord no, but like I do tend to gravitate towards navy because people when I do wear it, like on TV or something, that's what I wear. So why? I mean, does that have any piece of it?
It does. So navy in general, I'll say out of all the clients I've seen, I have not met one that didn't look better in navy than black.
Gotcha.
Across the board, navy is a better color. Okay. Every season does have a version of navy, but I would say navy is it's pretty close to universal. The only true universal color is true red. Go
Gotcha.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, go Dogs. We just beat Florida. That's why I was.
So, I mean, the true red is very convenient for us here in the state of Georgia, but everyone can wear like a true red. But a navy is pretty close to universal. So navy also in general, blues are great colors to wear in business because it really is an elevated classic that has positive connotations behind it.
That sort of leads me to, so obviously we're going to tell people how to find a house of color or whatever, but are there some key elements or some advice you have if you don't have access to a house of color, or if, you know, if you're listening to this and you're going on a job, this podcast, and you're going on a job interview, are there key, or going through Rush or whatever, obviously, if you're working with us, we will listen to you.
Yeah.
Are there key elements, like you just said, navy is as close to universal color and red, true red is, which is the only red that counts, Georgia Bulldog red. But are there some universal or key elements that go with this that don't have to do with sitting in your studio, because not everyone's going to be able to have access to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, I would say, listen, I love an influencer. I love an LTK. I love clicking a link to shop.
Wait, what is a LTK?
Like to know it, like when they post the links to the clothes and you can just click it and
I don't
add
really
it to cart.
follow many influencers. I'm bad about that.
Oh, well, it's just like there's an ease to it. And, you know, that's the generation we live in now. But I would, number one, urge you to think about yourself as an individual and not assume you are going to look the same as an influencer does in the clothes.
Oh, God, we need to say that again.
Right.
That is, my friend Helen, who I talk about on this podcast, her mom says, just because they make it in your size doesn't mean you should wear it.
Absolutely.
And that's going to what you're saying too. So continue on this vein. This is very good to know.
So what we don't realize, and I've worked with a lot of influencers too here in the studio, is like before an influencer typically is doing try-ons or putting on clothes, they're getting a spray tan, they are having a full glam team, their hair is done, the photos are edited, there's clips in the back of the clothes, like everything is made to sell clothing items. Okay, that is their job, is to sell clothes. And you don't need to compare yourself to the person whose job it is to sell clothes, because you are trying to be your most authentic self. So I think really thinking about...
Wait, we need to stop and say that again, because that's a message that this is all about showing your best authentic self.
Absolutely.
Everything, all of this stuff. This is the theme of the podcast, that and connections. Continue.
Your body is unique and authentic to you. Your face shape, your hair color, your skin tone, all of these things are like what's woven together to make you and let you be your personal brand. And when you're showing up to events, you want to be you, not a cookie cutter of what's on Instagram or what's on TikTok. Or I guess Is Snapchat still a thing?
I think it is. I've never had it. I don't understand it. I remember one time when my oldest son was in high school, a friend of his, I think he either went on play baseball or he's on a retreat. And so my son had his friend's phone because he was keeping some streak going. Like I don't know what that meant, but I just know that he was in charge of keeping his friend's streak going. And I was like, I don't know what this is. But anyway, I digress.
That's hilarious.
Per use.
That's hilarious.
But so yeah, this is a very good point you're making, and a very important point that you're making that I really want people to understand that, what you're seeing on social media is not targeted to you personally.
Yes.
It is designed to sell clothes or to show people, what sorority life is like. And it's, whatever. It's not authentically you.
Yes. And, our uniqueness is what's going to let us stand out. And I'll say most people, most women choose clothing without even considering themselves in the choice. So we choose clothes based on it looks cute on a hanger, it looks cute on a mannequin, it's cute on the online model or on the influencer, but we are kind of conditioned not even to consider ourselves. And flipping that script and thinking about yourself first, like, is this color good for me or is it just popular? Is
nice.
The same with hair color. It goes to hair color. It goes to jewelry tones. I mean, I will tell you, and I will share a picture with Trisha later. I really, really tried to be J-Lo with the hair. So this is my natural hair color, no color in it at all. Okay.
Wow. And she has very dark, beautiful brown hair.
Very dark. But I had very blonde highlights. I wore olive green every day, the nude lip, because Kim Kardashian said so, the gold jewelry. And I got myself so far away from the way I was created that it was like almost unrecognizable. I wasn't unique at all anymore.
Oh, wow.
And then I got my colors done and I had a style analysis and I figured out I really could stand out, look more youthful, more vibrant, more alive. And also, honestly, surrounding yourself with the right colors does also give you a boost of dopamine, and who doesn't need that? So all of those things kind of change the way I look at getting dressed and picking clothes. And I also became a research nerd. I've already shared some facts with you guys, but most Americans only wear 15% of their wardrobe.
Oh, wow.
So
that's not very much.
Right? 85% of your clothes sit there going unworn. And when we realize that, and realize that most of the things in our closets that are going unworn are things that we picked because we weren't thinking about ourselves. We were thinking about it looking cute on a hanger. Then it allows you to create and cultivate a wardrobe that lets you be elevated and authentic.
So how do you do that though? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, I'm ready.
So yes, you seem very good with my questions. So you're seeing this cute influencer, whatever, and you hit the LTK button. I just learned that today from you. But how do you know that it's not right for you if it comes in the mail from China or wherever?
Yes.
How do you know it's not right?
So for me, what I do is proportions. I know what proportions and what fits make sense for my body. And that's something we work with clients on too, is like your body's architecture,
Right.
Like you and I.
That's cool. Your body's architecture.
And your architecture is, irregardless of weight, it's about your bone structure and your vertical proportions, like we all should be kind of drawing the lines on our body in different places. So I know where to draw the lines on my body and what silhouettes make sense for me. And B, I know.
So are you saying that you can research that? I know the answer to this because
Yes.
this is I do speeches about dressing for your body type.
Mhm.
So what I am suggesting is if you cannot find a House of Color or find a stylist, go on the internet and there are specific tools of where to measure on your body that show whether you're a pear, whether you're an apple, whether you're straight, or whatever, and then it will tell you how to dress. I mean, I'm always about an expert and getting help if you can, but if you can't, what I would suggest is to be a research nerd.
Yes, well,
like you are.
I say the greatest tool a woman can use if she's trying to work on her style and work on what's working on her body and her wardrobe is to take a selfie. Because over 80% of what a woman sees in the mirror is a distorted image. We've all seen ourselves in a mirror and been like either ick or felt great and then saw ourselves in a picture and we're like,
oh my gosh, story of my life. This weekend alone, I was like, I think I look kind of cute. Then I see a picture. I was like, whoa, oh, no, I don't.
Right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time because like our eyes really like go to what's on our mind. You know what I mean? So we're looking at, a lot of times women are just trying to like hide things and they're actually making things look bigger and dressing inappropriately for our body shape. So if you just take a selfie in the mirror and take a good look at yourself before you go out, before you decide that's what you're going to wear. That's like one thing I tell my clients over and over again, like make an album in your phone called outfits and take the selfie. I don't care how awkward it is. It's just for you. It could be a password protected album if you want it to be.
You would have to know how to do that, but continue.
I don't know how to do that, but somebody told me you could. So you take a picture and look and be like, hey, how do my proportions look? Do these colors actually go together? Am I honoring myself? Is the color wearing me? That's the biggest thing I think we see is people wearing colors that we see the color before the person. And what we never want you to be is we don't want you to be the person at the event that somebody walks up to and says, I love that dress. And that's it. We want them to say, you look amazing in that dress.
Right.
And it's
that's
a
good.
very different vibe. So I think taking a picture, and my other really big tip, and this goes for college age girls, high school, to us and the older generation, everybody, go through your closet. If an item does not fit you today, whether it's too big or too small, put it in a plastic storage bin and move it out of your closet.
Oh, wow. That's great advice.
Because
I have a lot of jeans that are big or small that I'm like, I might wear this someday.
Exactly. So when we have that, think about like going into, I hate to call this out because I do like to shop there, but TJ Maxx. Have you ever looked at like the rack in TJ Maxx and you're like, overwhelming, like many
gives
things.
Me hives.
It's like it gives me so many things. So essentially, when you have things in your closet that are not your size, that's what you're doing to yourself in your closet. So you're giving yourself decision fatigue and you're going to feel like you have nothing to wear. And it's almost because you have too much hanging in the closet that doesn't even work for you. If it's not an option for you today, then why is it taking up precious real estate in your closet?
Oh, wow. That's great advice and something that we all need to do. But that's amazing. And that has nothing to do with your color wheel or anything else, but that or color palette. I don't know. Am I saying the wrong thing?
You could say it however, color palette, season, color wheel.
You're like,
you can do all.
You do you, boo.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great advice for sure. And so if you can. So I think I love that you said that mother and daughters come in together, because that's a lot. I see a lot of that, and a lot of the dynamic that I have in my business is the moms will say to me, "Will you please tell my daughter to do XYZ, or tell my daughter XYZ, because she does not want to hear it from me." And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's cool that you could also, I remember when I was like, I think I was 13, and I was starting to experiment with makeup, and again, 80s, dating myself, but like I was putting on, might have been the 70s, bright blue eyeshadow. And my mom took me to
Mm-hmm.
Merrill Norman
Mm-hmm.
at the mall and said, "We're going to have a makeup lesson," because nothing that my mom said was right. And
No.
so, but I see that dynamic all the time. So I think that's super cool that you do this for moms and daughters, and they can listen to you. Do you do any of this? I guess you can't do any of it remotely. They need to be in studio.
Personal style. So, style analysis is one of the services we offer. So, personal style, we can do virtually because that's like measurements and stuff. But color analysis, which I say should be everyone's like first step,
Gotcha.
because style is more nuanced and there's more of a spectrum there within style. But color is pretty, for lack of a better word, black and white. It's pretty cut and dry.
Color is
So,
black and white. That is the quote of the day. Color is black and white. All right, continue.
exactly right. So for that, it has to be done in person to be accurate. I have had so many clients spend lots of money doing this online, and it's have never gotten what they really needed to out of it, and end up spending the money anyway to get it done in person. So it's a one-time thing. You come, I mean, we really have people travel from all over, fly in, drive in from all over to get this done, because it's a fun event and, an experience, a shared experience, with moms and daughters. I think there's nothing like that core memory activating.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, and I'm already trying to figure out how far. I think I told you one of my best friends in college was from Canton, and she
Yeah.
drove to Atlanta every day for school. So I'm sitting here thinking, I could drive to Canton, and I'm going to drive to Canton. This is super exciting. So
Yes.
yeah, so I think that what you're doing is really cool and very much needed. I remember somebody was making fun of me on, I don't know if it was TikTok or I think it was some podcast, and they were saying that I said you got to stand out. And I've said this on this podcast before: stand out, to fit in. To I was very contradictory, but what you're saying, what I meant, which is it's about standing out in an appropriate way that's authentically you. Period. Like,
Exactly.
and yeah, you don't want to look like one of the herd, but you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to be dressed within a certain parameter. I'm talking
Yes.
specifically for rush or job interviews, but knowing your body and knowing the colors that work best for you, that's a great tool to have. And I'm
Oh, absolutely.
grateful for you to tell us that. So, okay. So well, before we do that, do you have any other last minute thoughts before I put you on the spot with your hashtag observation?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we covered all the bases.
Yes, which is great. And all right, so you got to do it. Bama Rush popularized the hashtag OOTD outfit of the day. For Mad Rush, I'm repurposing hashtag OOTD into observation of the day. What is your hashtag observation of the day?
It's funny because you said your friend's mom said something very similar to what I had already thought of. And it's just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. And that is that's great for across the board. That's for everything.
Like,
Just because you
yes, across the
make
board.
good choices, as
Yes.
my kids, and I loved that. Their kindergarten teacher was like, "You boys need to make good choices." And I
Yeah.
was like, I like that, because it gives them a little bit of the power
Oh,
to make
absolutely.
make the choice themselves. And I like that, being flip about it, but it is. just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right. So
Absolutely.
how many House of Colors are there in the United States?
Over 300 now.
Oh, wow.
So we pretty much, almost everyone should be able to drive. Now,
Very
I'm
cool.
not saying it's close because some people live in the middle of nowhere, but most people should be able to drive to a House of Color stylist. And across the country, like you can go to House of Color, remember it has a U.com, and you can find your closest stylist throughout the country.
Well, and you also said something, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you also said something that resonates. So yeah, if you have to drive and spend the gas money or whatever, you're going to save yourself money in the long run buying, like, for instance, if I bought a bunch of yellow stuff, I don't think yellow looks good on me. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong, but that you're not going to buy a bunch of stuff that's going to sit in your closet and you're not going to ever wear it because you're going to know what looks good on you. You're going to know what makes you present your best self. And so I think it's worth the effort and or money to get to you if you can,
Oh, absolutely. Almost every single client I've had has said that it saves them so much money when they go shopping because they can narrow in money and time and stress, because you can narrow in on what works really quickly and walk away from the decision fatigue and frustration for the things that don't.
Right. And I say that, our services, and again, not trying to sell my services here, but, they're pretty expensive up front. And I don't even know, I haven't even asked her how much House of Color is. But it saves you. I don't want the calls after rush where it saves you a lot of heartache, a lot of time, and, go to the expert if you can. And if not, be a research nerd.
Absolutely.
Or wear navy blue or
True red.
UGA bulldog red.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, all right. So let's go over that again. Where can listeners find you?
So you can find me personally on Instagram at House of Color with a U _Canton, CANTON. On Facebook also, but I pretty much live on the gram these days. Seems like that's my lane. Or you can go to hoccanton.com to see our franchise locations around the Atlanta area. And if you are outside of our area and want to find a stylist close to you, you can go to House of Color with a U.com. And there's like a quick little button. You just press find your stylist and type in your zip code, and it gives you a map of all the stylists in your area. Also, if it's not feasible for you to come see us here in Canton, but you want some advice on who to go see, you can message me on Instagram and I will give you advice on who to go see who's closest to you.
Yeah, that's amazing and very appreciated. And wow, yeah, I'm really excited about this. And I'm going to incorporate this into and I'm sorry I hadn't done this before, but I did not know it existed. But now I do. And when you're on this website, y'all look at the before and after. It is so cool. And like really, really, really something which is why I was so excited. And I was like, I got to find her to be on this podcast because I really think it's a really effective tool just from what I've seen. And I can't wait to incorporate it into our business and for our clients as well. So thank you for being here. It was amazing. And y'all look her up.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to Time Out with Trisha. Because can you really give advice if you don't speak about yourself in the third person? I don't think so. This is exactly how I speak to my clients. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Now let's get into it. Okay, So if you contact House of Color and have them do your color, if you mention the Mad Rush podcast, you will receive a free lipstick, and everybody needs a free lipstick. So a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today are how your clothes can help make you present yourself in the very best way. So I'm going to give you some bullet points. Clothes should feel comfortable when you move. They should neither be too tight nor too loose in important areas. Consider getting key pieces tailored for a perfect fit. And notice which fabrics and materials feel good on your skin. Think about your daily activities and what you need to move in easily. If something feels uncomfortable in the dressing room, it's not going to improve at home. And that is a really good thing. Someone told me that about shoes, and I have not bought uncomfortable shoes since then. I'm not saying I don't have a lot of uncomfortable shoes in my closet, because I do. But if you think they're going to break in, it usually is not going to happen. Think about which part of your body you like highlighting and in which clothes you feel most confident. Build outfits around those preferences and try different lengths of tops, skirts, and pants. And take a picture of yourself, like she said, and then you can really see what you look like. Notice where they hit you, your clothes hit you on your body, your waist, your hip, your ankle, etc., and see which combinations feel most balanced to you. And choose clothes, again, that suit your daily activities. I remember this very sweet friend of mine, right after I had my kids, and all I was doing was taking them to the park. And she sent me this killer pair of Louboutin shoes. It was so generous of her, but I was like, I'm not going to be wearing these. And I was like, this is not fitting my daily life. So think about that and make sure you can care for your garments easily, washing, ironing, etc. And if you don't have the budget or the time to go to the dry cleaners, make sure that the clothes you buy are not dry clean only. And last but not least, think about your local climate and dress accordingly. And that's it for Time Out with Trisha. We'll see you on another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Adams.